Everyone wants success. Everyone says they're willing to work for it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people will spend their whole lives chasing it and never really get there. Why is that? Why do some people keep climbing higher but others stay stuck on the same level no matter how hard they work? It's not luck, it's not money, and it's not raw talent. The real difference, the invisible gap between winners and everyone else, often comes down to just one habit. Not 10, not a complicated system, just one. And here's the part that might surprise you. It's not a habit that you've learnt about in books or motivational speeches. It's not about waking up at 5 a.m., doing journaling, grinding for 16 hours a day. Because the truth is, you could do all of that and still lose. But once you understand this habit and actually start living by it, your life will change in ways you never imagined. And in today's video, I'm gonna break it down step by step. So by the time we are done, you will know exactly what separates people who dream about success from the people who actually achieve it. When I discovered what this habit was, it completely changed the way I thought about success, because for the longest time I had this curiosity in my mind. All of us have the same 24 hours in a day, but then why is it that some people can make a lot of progress in that and can actually succeed on a great level, but others often struggle to do so, that they are utilizing the same time, they are doing the same things, but still they are stuck in the same problems, while the other ones who actually make it big, they are quickly moving through the levels and succeeding at this game we call life. And when I was thinking about it, I understood that the best way to find the answer wasn't actually to go on Google and search about it or even try to talk to ChatGPT about it, but the best way to understand the answer was to observe the people who had made it big. Because for any field that we want to learn in, right, the most important thing is to observe the people who are already good at it and decode their best practices. So when I did that, when I read about successful people, when I read about the billionaires, when I read about the sports champions, and I understood how their mind was programmed, how they were seeing the world, how they were approaching problems in their life, I understood one crucial trait, the one habit that I'm about to tell you right now, that was common in all of them, and that defined how they were succeeding. And that habit was the ability to make time. I'm not joking. When you look at these people, right, you will see that they somehow have the ability to magically make time for the things that matter. And that magic is something you'll learn today, so stick around for it. But first, we need to understand what this magic does. And the thing is, when you understand this and when you actually start making time like these people who succeed, the life you live will change, because now in the same 24 hours that you have, you will be making 240 hours worth of progress. Your success and your growth and your achievements will no longer be limited to the amount of effort you put forth. They will be exponential, they will be beyond logic. And the only way that happens is when you make big quantum leaps by making time for the things that matter. And that is the reason most people also get stuck behind in life. Because while they are grinding, while they're putting in the 16 hours of effort, while they are constantly pushing forward, they're also struggling. In the 24 hours, they're barely making 2 or 3 hours worth of progress. And then they're wondering, why isn't my life sorting out? Some areas of their life are a mess. Some areas they are doing good at. But all in all, they are not able to make time for the things that matter. And then they feel unhappy and unsuccessful and stuck. And if you resonate with this, if this is where you're also feeling stuck, then you are at the right place. Because now, I'm not only going to leave you here, we're going to talk about the simple steps that you can take to inculcate this habit of making time in your life. Now, these steps have also come from the study of successful people, of what they do, of how they work, of how they focus their mind on things. And once you learn how to do that with these steps, you will be able to start making that kind of progress almost instantly. So if you're ready for that control, keep watching, because now we're going to dive into the first step. If you want to learn how to make time and how to make that time work for you instead of against you, the very first step is practicing and learning how to say no. And this lesson comes from Warren Buffett, who says, the difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything. Now that is often very confusing for people who are used to saying yes and who are used to seeking validation. And don't worry, because I can understand what that feels like, because I was one of them. I always thought that what will the other person think if I say no? Won't they be disappointed? Won't they feel like I hurt them? But the truth is, they will. And even if I do the thing they asked me to do, but I do it half-heartedly, they will still feel hurt. They will still feel like I ignored them and I said yes for the sake of it, which honestly was true in most cases. And that is why I was struggling to move forward in my life. I had all these different priorities to focus on, but instead of focusing on them, what was I doing? I was saying yes to everything people were asking me to do. Now, when I was doing the stuff they asked me to do, I was doing it properly? Not at all. I was struggling and I was not actually doing the things I properly committed to do. And so there was inconsistency all around. Was I working? Yes. Was I actually seeing the results of that work? Not at all. And that is why learning and practicing how to say no is so important. Because if you have this ability, right, you can actually take the list of what matters to you and focus entirely on that list and not on this list that is all about the demands that people have. I'm not saying that you become an arrogant person who treats others like they're not worth it. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is you become a respectful person who can say no with courage, with kindness, with compassion, because they value themselves and they value the priorities that they have. There's a lot of difference being arrogant and being respectful. And if you're truly respectful to yourself and to others, you will have no problem saying no. So this is the very first step. You have to practice saying no. Now, how do you do that? Simple. Every day, ask yourself, did I say no to something today? Did I prioritize something that mattered to me? And that's a very simple question, but the more you ask it, the more aware you are of it, the more you will start to embody the principle Warren Buffett was talking about, and the closer to success you will be. The second step in building this habit of making time work for you is learning how to learn. And most successful people recognize that this is a crucial skill because they are masters at learning. They are learning from every book, every video, every conversation, even tweets and posts, and they're asking themselves, what can I learn from this? How can I implement it? And how can I move forward in life? And because they are such quick learners and even quicker implementers, their life changes in magical ways, and we are all dumbfounded when we see, oh, how did this person grow so much? There's no secret. It's just that they have mastered learning, and the best example I know of this is Elon Musk. If you look at how he has built his companies, right, he has had three crucial qualities. He has been courageous, he has been very bold and visionary, and he has always been open to learning and understanding new things. If you look at how he built SpaceX, he was not an astrophysicist who had graduated from college, but he saw the vision of taking people to Mars and of building rockets that could take off and land like airplanes. At that time, this concept seemed like science fiction, but he believed in it. And then he went on learning. He literally studied rocket science on his own. He understood the concepts. Then he brought the best people on board, had incredible discussions with them, and because of that, reusable rockets are a reality, and SpaceX has become one of the most important players in the humanity space race. Now, how do you build such an impact? It does not happen every day, and it does not happen with just a single days of focused work. It happens when you are a visionary, but along with being a visionary, you are also an avid learner. Elon Musk is someone who does that constantly. The question is, can you do the same? Absolutely. And that is why we have to let go of some bit of arrogance in us. Now, what is that arrogance? Oh, I've done my schooling, I've done my college, I don't need to learn anymore. That's not true at all. Because if you are not learning, the world is moving forward. And if the world is moving forward and you are stuck in the same place, what is happening? Time is working against you. The way to flip the equation is to be ahead of the world and constantly keep learning. Now you'll ask me a question. Prabhsimrat, well, if I do that, then won't I have less time to work on my goals and dreams? No, in fact, if you learn more, if you experiment more, if you keep on implementing new things and if you keep improving, what will happen? The amount of time you spend working on your goals will increase in its quality. Now you can spend 1,000 hours repeating the same thing and then getting a result, or you can take 100 hours and out of those 100 hours, you can take 20 hours to learn and 80 hours to implement those learnings to get the same result that you would have otherwise gotten in 1,000 hours. You're seeing how the equation matches, right? When you learn, it multiplies the speed at which your results grow. So make this a priority. Every day ask yourself, what is something new I learned today? What is something new I implemented today? And what is an idea that I can implement further? And this way, you will start implementing step 2 and you will start learning and growing. The third step is the simplest one yet, but also very important. And it is have key priorities. You will be shocked when you actually go back and look at your past month, your past year, and even the past 5 years to see that the reason you haven't made progress is not because you didn't know what to do, and it's not because you weren't capable of it. The reason you didn't make progress was because you didn't prioritize the things that mattered. You kept focusing on things that didn't matter, and then you said, oh, I'm not making progress. Of course you won't make progress. And that is why what you need to understand is that not everything in the world deserves your attention. This is very important. If you keep giving your attention away like it is free change, then guess what? The world will not value your attention, the world will not value your time, and you will not get the results that you want, because what message are you sending outside? Oh, it's okay, take my time, take my attention, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care about it. And if you don't care about it, then will somebody else care about it? Of course not. So this is the lesson that you have to understand, that you have to protect your attention, you have to protect your energy, and you have to protect your time. Now, how do you do that? You have key priorities. You have to recognize that you are not Superman, you are not Superwoman, and you can't do 1,000 things at once. But what you can do is accept this reality and understand that when you focus on key priorities, when you focus on qualities, you will be able to make the few things matter a lot, and with few actions generate a lot of results. And for this, the best person I know who's done this is Charlie Munger. He was Warren Buffett's business partner in Berkshire Hathaway, and he was a pretty simple man. When you read his book, right, you'll understand this, that the one thing he mastered was the art of priorities. He was very clear. He had his personal code of ethics. He lived by it. He lived a simple, happy life. He didn't do too many things, but he was a billionaire. He was successful, and he was a great thinker to whom people went for business advice even when he was 99 years old. Just imagine that. Now, what was the reason for building that expertise, for building those qualities, for building that kind of courage? It was simple. It was that he understood how to have his key priorities sorted, and he just focused on them. He didn't focus on the world. He didn't focus on too many things. He didn't even focus on being famous or coming into the limelight. He just focused on what mattered to him, and you can do the same. Whatever your priorities are, just be clear on them and make sure that they are being acted on every single day. The fourth and the final step will literally change the game for you, and it's learning how to delegate. Again, the people who are at the top of their game are masters at this. Because when you're building a company, when you're building a strong foundation, and even when you're doing anything else in life that requires massive scale, you have to recognize that alone you cannot do it. You only have so many capacities, you only have so many levels of effort that you can put in, right? And after a certain point, you need help, you need experts, you need people who will work under your leadership, under your vision, or even work along with you to build incredible results. Because alone we can do this much, but even when 2 people come together or 3 people come together, the combined forces of that is greater than the sum of its parts, right? So it's 1, 2, 3 people coming together, but instead of the result being like 3 plus 2 plus 1, 5, the result is much larger. The result is exponential because multiple energies are being combined. But if you need to learn how to delegate, what's the most important skill? Trust. And this is where most people lack. They think, oh, I have this idea. If I tell this to other people, no, they'll steal it and they'll go and they'll build their company. Seriously? Are you really that afraid? Because if you are, then you have to question, can you actually build the company of the scale that you want, or the business that you want, or even if you want to succeed at your job and do a good project? If you're afraid of sharing your ideas, if you're afraid of trusting people, if you're afraid of giving people the scope to work with you, and that also means giving them the scope to hurt you, if you're afraid of that and if you're not willing to accept that reality, then learning to delegate will be hard and learning to grow will be hard, because with delegation comes scale and with scale comes success. But for delegation, there has to be trust, and for trust to work, you have to be okay with being hurt. That's the most important thing, and it took me a long time to realize it. I felt like I shouldn't be hurt. I shouldn't have to deal with people like this. But the truth is, you will face problems, you will face challenges, you will face people who are just a pain to work with, but that is how you will grow. One bad experience should not be the reason you are not succeeding. One bad person should not be the reason you are putting your whole life and all your dreams away because you can't trust anyone else. That doesn't make sense. So to learn how to delegate, I'm not going to tell you, okay, make a list of things that you don't want to do and all of that, because that comes later. The very first thing that you need to focus on is trust. And who is the most trusting person in the world if you think about it? It was Mother Teresa. Because when she did her work, she worked with patience, she worked with difficult people. She built a foundation that changed the world, that changed the way people perceived others, and she led the message of kindness. But how did she do that? She didn't do that by thinking small. She did that by thinking big. And there would have been people who didn't treat her right. There would have been people who disrespected her. There would have been people who critiqued her mission. And there would have been difficult patients to work with, people who didn't trust her or people she trusted, but people who didn't work along with her because she was not doing it for money. She was doing it for service. But what if she said, oh, you know what? People are very difficult to work with. I'll just sit in my church. I won't do this. What do you think would have happened? Would the world actually be where it is today? Would so many millions of lives have been impacted by her and her foundation? Of course not. And that is why, because she learned to trust, because she had that inherent kindness in her, and she was okay with hurt, and she was okay with recovering from it, and she had that mission clear in her mind. She was not only able to treat people with kindness, she was also able to scale that kindness in a way no one in the world has. And that's the message you need to understand, that for any success you want, you have to be willing to trust, and you have to be willing to delegate, and you have to be willing to work with others even when there is uncertainty, even when you don't know the full reality of the situation. And that's just a part of the game. So this fourth step, like we learned this order, right? It comes at the latter part because the initial steps are the more important ones for you to build. But along with that, this trust has to be built alongside. So while you are doing those things, while you have your priorities, while you are learning how to say no, while you are learning new things and improving every day, if you're building this trust, when the right person and the right opportunity and the right gateway opens up, you will be there to take massive action. You will be there to capitalize on that opportunity, and that is how you will get your lucky break. That is how you will succeed. That is how you will become those people who spend this much time, who spend this much effort, but their results are exponential. And the way to get to that exponential results is to make time work for you and to follow these 4 steps. And I don't want to leave you hanging. I want you to get started on this right now. And for that, I have just one simple task for you to do. Take step 3, defining your key priorities, and write them in the comment section. What are the 3 main priorities that you are going to act upon starting from today? This will help you keep accountable, and this will also help you get started on the process instantly. So share those with me in the comments. I'd be happy to read them. I'd be happy to support you in your journey, and know that every Saturday, just like this, we'll be here and we will be growing and we will be learning. Thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you next week.